Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 3 long weeks here at SRA.
Welcome back to the best racing in North America, home of the SRA GP3 Team Series. 60 minutes of action-packed door-to-door racing, 6 divisions, 6 different championships on the line. Let's get ready for some action tonight.
An incident turn. We have Boardman at a yellow. Looks like he's dropping down positions there on the chicane as a bunch of cars are coming through.
Byron's going to take a dive in the Lexus.
Johnson looking to go down the inside of Maxwell.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 5th round of the SRA season. We are finally past the halfway marker. It's Divisional 1 action here tonight at Monza. We return back to Italy after Imola last week. Join me on the desk tonight, Paul Hartman, Josh Damiani. How you both doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Ready for another awesome night of racing, Josh?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good myself. Like you said, back at the other Italian racetrack. I don't really know which one would be considered the Italian racetrack. They're both pretty historic in their own regards, but another fun event nonetheless.
It is, and in terms of Ferrari, they are hoping to bring out something here tonight, but we also have Lamborghini, very powerful car. Take us over the track map, Josh, if you can, some high overtaking zones.
Well, as you can see by the track map, there's a lot of straights followed by heavy braking zones, and those are going to be the big opportunities. Turn 6 and Turn 7 don't really yield much as there's not the most room, but those chicanes of Turn 1 and Turn 4 are going to be places where a lot of people look for a move. The other place where we might see a lot of people lose positions due to their own regard is going to be 8, 9, 10. That Ascari chicane loves to throw cars around. So it's going to be opportunistic all over this racetrack.
And it's not a very turn-heavy racetrack. We just said lots of straights, so look for the cars that have a lot more power to be doing very well this race. Is it possible to head through too wide Ascari?
I think it's been done before, but it's not really the safest move, and you do lose a significant amount of time. So it's not the smartest move, but it's possible.
We'll keep an eye out, see if we have any collisions, and drivers are heading out on the track to start their warm-up laps for the qualifying and heading into that dreaded Turn 1 that we will see tonight. How important is it, just for a field-based basis, Paulie, to get at Turn 1 correct tonight specifically?
Turn 1 is a pretty brutal one. We're going to see on lap 1 how people are going to navigate this. We already talked about this before the broadcast, but yeah, Turn 1 can definitely be a make or break for your lap as well. It's one of those frustrating moments where, especially as you get used to your car here in the qualifying session, and because that braking point can change a little bit, and later on in the race as well, when your tires start not feeling quite as good, that braking point can change. So there's a fine line between playing it safe and getting the optimal exit or just blowing straight through it.
And I have to ask both of you what you think your top cars are going to be here tonight, just manufacturers wise. We actually have a good bit of spread from McLaren to Audi to Mercedes. Good bit of cars to choose from, but what do you think is going to kind of be our peak performer today?
In my opinion, the McLaren is looking pretty good here. I know that some McLaren drivers were giving it a very favorable review, and it's kind of been at the top of the leaderboards here, as well as the Lamborghinis. This is their night to shine. Yeah, the Lamborghini is going to do really well here, as we've seen in testing, very fast on these straights. And for the few Audi drivers out there, I know some people were not happy with the Audi, but it could still be a viable option here, especially with its monstrous straight line speed.
Josh, anything to add to that?
No, I think Paulie ticked all available boxes there.
Man.
No,
Yeah.
you hit all the nails right
Yeah.
on the head. I could repeat everything you said, but realistically, the Lamborghinis look fast. Matt Lehman's made that new McLaren look untouchable at the top of the leaderboard. But realistically, this track is a battle of being able to actually produce the lap time. Like we've talked about the breaking point of turn 1, the exit of turn 2, and just that transition of the first chicane is such a lap time killer that it's really going to be who can just put up the best laps and who can do it consistently. It may not be a car dominant thing.
Well, Faz Lee in the chat, dodging bullets in Memphis to tell us that he's not sure that the Lambo will really be all that great. It's a hot lapper, but bad top speed. So I don't know. Interesting.
Let's see.
I know that in the sessions I was in, it seemed like the Lambo was doing pretty well, but obviously qualifying session here, we already have a couple Lamborghinis up at the top.
Dude, they're not done yet. Stasov is actually going to be our first person to cross the line as they head down the back straight to that final corner. Extremely long right-hander. Almost hairpin-like, just extremely wide. And the line into that isn't your normal line. It's very early apex, swing it out wide and get the power down for the long front stretch. Stasov is going to put a decently respectable time, 47.9. That will honestly just get trumped by Griffith with a 47.9 as well, but it's a 47.9.02. So improvements can be made everywhere. Porsches, I did not expect to kind of see here.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that with 1.9, we've started to see the Porsche be as competitive as it actually is in real life. Like, it may not win, but I mean, the Porsche is still a good car. It shouldn't just be getting gapped at every instance. So,
yeah, very happy with the change that we have so far. Nate Speck in the new McLaren putting at P6 right now is a 47.9 as well. Gaps are extremely tight just on the first lap. Back to P8 is all within 2/10 already, so I kind of have to ask the question: is this? I hope we see this for the rest of the qualifying session, especially when the golds come out.
agreed, and those times are going to come way down, I think. We saw a lot of drivers on the board in the 46s. Lehman touting the fastest lap at a 46.6, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what pole will be.
Yeah,
What do you guys have for predictions?
Lehman.
No, I mean time-wise.
Oh.
Time-wise,
Like, what do we think the drivers will actually be able to pull out in this 20-minute session? In this 10-minute, I should say.
46.8 is going to be the pole with a couple of 46.9s.
You know what? I have more hope. I'll do a 46.7.
And I'll do a 46.699 just to prices
Rub
right
it
that
in.
up. Stats jumps back to the top with a 47.4.
We have a bunch of cars improving though on their way around. Doesn't look enough to jump P1, run you over on your screen right now. We'll jump up to P6, getting it to the 47.8s.
Nate Specht is almost half a second up on his lap. That should be enough for P1.
It should
as long as he
be.
does not get a curse.
Does look like that's a good
that's my
exit.
bad.
Nope, that's a good exit from the turn. You line that up pretty good. This should bump him all the way up to P1, and it will
There
with
you
a
go.
47.3, and it'll cruise down the front stretch to improve some more time.
Yeah, is Griffith in the picture-in-picture and on the main screen there
Nope.
for a second, just coming through the Lesmo, so still in the first half of the lap, and he's already up enough to jump to pole on his lap time. So we'll see how this shakes out.
Dan Cran, also one of those drivers who is on the borderline of putting it on pole right now as well. It's just right behind Griffith. You can kind of see him in the background there.
A lot of this track is confidence, and no matter how many laps you do leading into the session, whether it's just practice in general or directly before the session, it's still getting out there and finding a groove. As
Dan
you
Cran.
get a little bit too aggressive trying to find the lap time, and you do what Dan Cran does. Thankfully, he was able to save the car at least.
That's a very good save. And we're
Agreed.
about to get a little bit of traffic here.
So
Matt
Griffith's about to cross the line up 0.6.
is invalidated, so he'll stay right there.
Oh, that's a shame. That would have been 0.2 clear on pole.
It would have been. Unfortunately, invalidates Matt coming up to some traffic of Stallworth in front of him. But we'll still improve on his time.
Z Martin is about to set a fast lap here for his first one on the board, as Nate Specht is 2.5 tenths up on his pole time.
Matt right in front of him set a 47.3, but Nate is going to set a 47.1 and be 2 tenths clear.
Martin sets a 47.6 for his first valid lap.
Stasiv now 2.5 tenths up on his time, needs to try to hold it together. Got a little squirrely there, losing a ton of time. I don't think it will improve this lap, and if it will be, it won't be by a lot. We'll have to kind of reset. He has a minute and a half left to get around the track and do one more lap. Our time is winding down. Stallworth in your picture-in-picture window is improving by about 7 tenths right now. Nate Specht will end his qualifying early, so we'll have to settle for a 47.1. Currently provisional pole, but there's definitely improvements out there to bring him down. Well, Stallworth can hook up Ascari and keep it valid. All it will have is that one last turn to go in your picture-in-picture on the hood cam.
Yeah. Thought we'd ride on board there and give people a little bit of a taste of what it's like trying to hunt the apexes here. And I don't know if you could tell, but Stallworth was getting right up on top of the sausage curbs at Ascari. I was expecting that car to snap one direction or the other.
Yeah, I'm noticing a lot of these cars kind of munching the first set of Ascari curves. The Stallworth will set the fastest lap and be provisional pole for the time being with a 46.9. They already hit the 46s and the gold haven't even come out. Rust puts his Audi 47.3 P4 for the time being. Quig is in P7 with a 47.4. There's improvements all around the track right now. Matt
Martin just set his lap with a 47.4 and it still has time for another one.
does.
Oh, run you over. Taking a big right-hand turn.
Yeah, and that will spell the end.
Yeah, saw them making an improvement on their lap time in the first chicane, or second chicane, I guess you could say, and yeah, I guess it was too much of an improvement.
Poremba, all he has to do is improve by one more tenth out of Ascari and the final turn. He'll have provisional pole for the Silvers locked down. Currently just under 2.5 tenths up on his time right now. Trying to hook something up if he can.
Stasiv also finishing their final lap, coming into out of Parabolica, just 3 tenths up. Good enough for P3.
Poremba actually elected not to take all the inside curb at Ascari, and it looks like it kind of cost him his time. He's now only a tenth and a half up, so he won't get too much improvement, but will be enough to actually bump him up a position if he can hold it together for this final turn. It actually looks like he won't be able to, and he'll just back out of it. Or not, he'll actually just hold the inside. That's a new line. But we'll improve a little bit, 47.2. Martin coming around the final bend. Won't be improving by that much. We'll just go straight into the pits. Riley is our final car on track of the silver drivers. We'll improve a bit, but won't be seeing any positions. So now we will look towards the golds. Neville will be leading us off for them. So, after seeing the silvers qualify, do we have any changed opinions on cars or possible people who we think are going to win?
Stallworth has always been someone who kind of toes the line between a silver and a gold. He's an extraordinarily fast driver. I'm going to keep with my prediction. But yeah, Stallworth definitely putting it up there. That 46.9, phenomenal lap.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my prediction as well, but it's nice to, well, I don't know if it's nice, actually. I'll rephrase that and start the sentence over. At the start of the practicing, I saw a lot of people saying that the Ferrari may not be looking too good this week, but yet they've found their way back to the top again. Driving one in practice, that section of Ascari has been the place to try and figure out. It's interesting to see that all of them are back up there, but even the Audis, Patrick Rust in 5th and Brooker Quigg in 8th, pretty close. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Everybody's got a stab. No brand is really out of it.
I honestly think for the first time this season, we have kind of all brands of cars represented here in the top. Well, maybe not the Mercedes, but looks like it had a little bit of issues trying to qualify. But I think this is kind of one of the first tracks that we've actually have kind of an even playing ground in terms of cars right now. And that could just be the 1.9 update. As Neville crosses the line, we'll put it just P16 for the time being. Putting in a banker lap, Mercer's going to put it P13. Drummo P18. No one really breaking into the top 10s for golds yet. It needs to warm up their tires still, I'm assuming. Burn off some of that fuel, you'll get a faster time. Mercer already up 2/10. And as I say that, Marquez will put it in P5 with a 47.3 right off the bat. So I'll eat my own words a little bit. So we had a bit of talk about qualifying for now. As people set their laps, shift towards the race real quick. How different is qualifying compared to the race here?
Completely different. I mean, at most of the tracks, your ability to pump in those fast laps over and over and over again is super important. But at a track like this, you're never really able to hit that pace. It's very much a battle of finding apexes and staying out of trouble.
These hard braking zones definitely make it very hard to stay out of that trouble. And for qualifying, yeah, it's a different track. You're not driving in your mirrors as much, worried about someone behind you in the hard braking zones. These cars, for these super sharp turns at the end of these long straights, you got to find a very fine tipping point. It's hard to maintain that over the course of a race, especially as your tires degrade and you get fatigued and the fuel load is changing. So it takes a lot of experience to be able to hit super fast laps here consistently.
As we were talking about that, Mercer's going to jump to P3 with a 47.1, so we're teeter-tottering on the 46s for the golds right now. We have a gap of 5/10 all the way back to P15, P16 now, as Wilson puts it P12. Everyone improving their times a little bit. Some people are invalidating, not able to keep it on track for the most part. Everyone pretty much improving. As I say that, Menning will go P6, 47.2. And someone who we kind of expect to be at the top every single race, Diego Fimbres Casas. Currently saying P26 right now.
Yeah, not having the best qualifying session. Currently up a bit on his lap time, keeping it valid, but so I think that could be consequence of the splits as well. I mean, a second down to 28th. If you're slightly off on your lap, it could drastically hurt your starting position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
another driver that we were talking about earlier having a bit of a rough way to go at it, Matt Lehman. unable to set a lap so far. 2 minutes and 53 seconds left of this qualifying session. He just crossed the line for another lap, but invalidated in sector 3. So one of those drivers that we know that can be fast, but this is a very finicky track, especially if you're trying to go all out and push for that top time.
Let's have this lap and probably another lap on top of that to get it right. Diego's going to put it P20 for the time being. No one really touching Stallworth's time. But we'll have to wait and see. Menning is a 10th up on his time coming down the backstretch. But unless he absolutely nails this final corner, he will be not able to beat Stallworth for the time being. He actually loses time, so we'll just move up to P3 with a 10th gain in that last time. So 47.135 is his current time. Look down the grid. O'Brien about half a 10th up on his time. You don't see him in the back of the picture-in-picture window. Oh, not anymore. I lied.
My apologies.
No, you're okay. That's it.
Just trying to field some information here. I see Matt Lehman was having some technical issues just before the start of the race, commenting on his headset, quote unquote, pooping the bed. I'm wondering if he's driving deaf right now.
He might be, but it doesn't matter because he goes and sets a 46.7 on his first valid lap of the session.
Because if he did that deaf, that's insane. But impressive.
Very
the guy's
impressive.
got that dog in him.
So he will go look to. He has one more lap to try and improve that. I'm not even sure if he necessarily needs the improvement. But if he doesn't improve, I win the bet we said earlier.
Well, I'm gonna say, well, I guess he did by 3 thousandths. Okay, otherwise I would have won. If we're rounding up here,
every thousandth of a second counts.
Can I make the point that Matt set that time without getting any of the fastest sectors?
You're absolutely correct on that.
Like that is impressive.
It's just consistent.
And I was watching that lap. He had a really rough way to go at it through Ascari. If he can clean that up, there's a ton of time left. He's already a 10th up on his lap.
Absolutely nuts. Menning yellow flagged will pull into the pits and be the end of his qualifying. So he will just sit there with 46.9. Qualifying has come to an end. Everyone's saying their last laps were on board with Liam. If he can hold it together, 2 tenths up on his time. Going to be 3 coming into Parabolica in the final turn. He absolutely nails it again. We are looking at a 46.4. I cursed him. No, I didn't.
And he improves on his time a little bit at a Parabolica. Hugs it tight.
Same. We'll be
there you go.
46.4. So
wow.
None of us are right.
Nope. That's insane.
We all
46.4.
Nobody wins. We all get nothing. Matt gets the prizes.
Yes. That is an extremely insane time. I'd be surprised if it comes out during the race.
Spangler is still on a flying lap here, 2.5 tenths up. Sitting in 26 right now, looking to improve quite a few positions. Very tight pack in the mid pack here.
We're on board with Wilson coming down the backstretch. He's kind of in the last car of this pack here. He can hook it up. He'll go up a few places. Currently 2.5 tenths up on his time. Trying to hook it up, laying the car all the way out wide, getting that power down, trying to get the best run up to the line. Still 2.5 tenths up. We'll put the car in P11. Very respectable time. But our top 5 goes Lehman, Neville, Menning, Stallworth, and Nixon.
Yeah, and note Stallworth in silver and Nate Speck just outside of that top 5 and 6 right now. Also a silver driver. Those 2 McLarens evidently, having fun out there. Look really solid.
They're
having fun to say the least.
They're teammates as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were teammates.
Yep, they are. The only 2 McLarens on the grid are teammates. Who would have thought? So before the cars get going, just touch on this. We're in a big pack of 32 people right now, right? 32 cars heading at full speed into turn 1. What are the odds we get some chaos?
I'm gonna give it a solid. I hate to do this, but 80%. It will be very unlikely that at least one person isn't hit in lap 1, P1.
Paulie has lost hope since Walkins.
It's not really a hope thing, man. Look at the real estate.
Yeah,
It's almost a guarantee that cars are side by side.
and you miss your breaking point just a little bit. You touch just a little bit of grass, and boom, you're plowing through half the field. It's not hard to do. You can blame the driver, but at the same time, it's an easy mistake to make. And I don't doubt that even seasoned veterans can make that same mistake. I've seen seasoned veterans make that same mistake in league races, and it's brutal. It's not fun for anyone involved. So hopefully these drivers are mindful of that and take it nice and easy, and just start dragging the brakes early and expect the people in front of you to slam on the brakes at any moment. Because there's no other way to treat it. It's a very dangerous first corner. It's a very dangerous first lap in general, because there's a lot of these hard braking zones with such a tight pack of cars. It's a big grid for this.
Very, very well put. While we have a moment, Paulie, you want to do more talking and go over possible team standings?
Team standings. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look. Here they are on the screen right now.
Looking at the wrong screen. All right, here we are. Yeah, so Vroom Car Drive of Peter O'Brien, Jeremy Mercer sitting in first right now. 520 points. That's quite a bit. Champion Motorsports, Mick Lemons with Matt Lehman and Nate Speck sitting in the cool second. They got some space to make up 76 points, but that can definitely be done, especially with how dominant these cars are here today. Michael Griffith and Travis Nordstrom in the Porsche sitting in third with Comic Racing. Face Huggers with 426 points. Some other teams, Champion Motorsports Ghost Riders with Alex Chokat missing. Mr. Sir still holding it down, 11th place. Pillars Racing Saturn with Kodromo and Dan Cran, another force to be reckoned with there, sitting in 7th place at the moment.
Still all up for grabs as we have this race and then another 3, if I count correctly, after this. But
yep, that would be correct. This is race 6, right?
Race 5.
Race 5? Oh no.
Race 5. So 4 more races overall left because we haven't started this one yet. But let's hop over to the team standings if you'd like.
For the driver standings.
Drivers, my bad.
Yeah, Matt Lehman looking real good right now in first place, and with a pole lap like that, he's feeling good too. Jeremy Mercer not too far behind in second place, only 2 points away. Michael Manning in third, a great showing from him this season with 236 points. And some standout drivers on this page. I'd like to highlight Jeff Spangler with 69 points. Very nice. Nick Sam, 79 points for Pillars Racing. Evan Kim doing surprisingly well. 80, no, not surprisingly. I can't do my boy like that. He's doing pretty good with 85 points, sitting in 28th place right now. Yeah.
Good honorable mentions. But it's all to play for, really. Anything can change. All chips fall in the right spot. Lehman has a great advantage tonight, seeing that Mercer, who's only 2 points away from him, is starting from P9 tonight. Going to be a fun, entertaining race, to say the least. As everyone lines up, get their brakes warmed up. If you don't really know how we normally do things around here, your main screen will try to capture the front pack of the start. Your picture-in-picture will try to capture the back half. So all chaos points are caught. If we miss the yellow, we're sorry. It happens. That's why
there's going to be a few of them.
There will be a few yellows.
Yeah, if there's anything off the start, I'll try and jump to it in the picture-in-picture. That way we can keep the racing action on the main screen, but,
What I did notice just now is that Plaza is starting from the pit lane.
Yeah, one of our one of the consequences of collecting too many penalty points here at SRA, one of our slap on the wrists is to start from the pit lane. I believe that is the second stage, but we're about to enter the second stage of the formation lap as everybody lines up side by side.
At this point, no one can really weave, try to get their tires warm. A few drivers will try to, but not very good if you can't use that entire track.
A few drivers trying to share cars in the picture-in-picture.
Sharing cars is always fun. So Lehman to Neville line up on the front row. Menning and Stallsworth is on your second row here as we are rounding out the final corner of Monza here. Pole with his famous catchphrase will be taking it away any minute now to get us off and away.
And we're off and away for SRA Season 7 Race 5 here at Monza. These drivers are speeding down towards turn 1.
Looks like everyone got a pretty good start. Neville and Menning actually going to try to take a look at each other, but we'll back off. Lehman actually breaking really early. We'll open the door for Neville here on the outside. He has the inside for this next corner, but it's very tight. Lehman's not going to be able to hold it off on the inside, but we'll get the run on the outside, and that outside line just darts past Neville. Menning will take P2 from him. Neville now having to fight off Stallsworth, won't be able to do it. Neville not going to have to fight off Nixon. Nixon's going to be able to hold the inside line here, just trying to catch the draft from Neville right now, but not going to be able to make that move. Neville's actually going to dive up the inside of Stallsworth. Contact between the two cars. Stallsworth gets away fine. Neville's going to have to give the position to Nixon. Neville is still falling back and might fall back to the hands of Nate Specht if he has anything to do with it.
We got a car parked in the hairpin.
Ooh.
Oh, he couldn't return to pits fast enough. Sorry.
Oh, that
could have been a big incident.
Yeah, that's Zach Martin retiring from the race, and only the second chicane causing a big pile up there.
We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know where. I was very surprised at how clean we got through turn 1. Say at least as
there was
everyone.
a little bit of carnage.
Yeah, in the picture-in-picture, we saw pretty much 20th place backwards. I mean, everybody was accordion affecting, a little bit of too wide, looking for the open area, and then all of a sudden that disappears. But that is Monza, baby.
That is Monza's. Nate Specht is trying to prove Monza by getting that draft on Neville here. Neville bound to have some sort of damage after making that collision with Stallsworth. Specht not going to be able to make any kind of move. Actually going to come up on the inside of Neville to get the run on the straight. Side by side, they go down the straight. Specht trying to get the draft off Nixon. Nixon going to move over to give the draft to Neville. I believe they are teammates, or at least in the same conglomerate, it looks like. Neville getting that draft, able to pull himself along. Nate Specht still holding there, trying to get the dive. Neville go into the defensive move. Specht heading back to the outside line. Will hold position for the time being. Good defense from Neville.
That's some beautiful teamwork right there, as Mr. Sir got himself all sorts of out of shape at Ascari on the previous lap, and he's created a train behind him. Looks like Jeremy Braid just missed turn 1, got a little bit of his left rear tire in the grass in the braking zone. Thankfully used all that extra runway to get himself back on track safely.
Neville missing the turn at the chicane. We'll have to take to the escape road. Actually, we'll be able to get right back in place in front of Specht. Specht's not going to be having any of that here shortly, as he is right on the bumper of Neville. Neville holding off very finally, getting that draft from Nixon.
There's a bunch of cars come together in the second chicane here. Looks like Jeremy Braid just getting a little bit of contact with Koa Dromo in the second half of the hairpin. And it seems there was a spin, the same variety, just behind it as well. Once again, that's Monza for you.
All kicking off already. Marquez held up behind Nordstrom right now. Trying to do anything to get by. Same with Specht, who's just rubbing up on the bumper of Neville. They are side by side. Neville will actually take the inside line this time. Specht going to try to hold out on the outside. Is able to get the power on a lot earlier, but Neville is going to have that inside line. Better line for the corner. O'Brien's going to try to make his way through. Just see if anything happens. Neville will dive into the pits, out of the way, try to repair any damage, and get out of this battle.
I really wonder what will turn out to be the better strategy here tonight, whether it'll be the early pit stop or the late pit stop.
Now Marquez is going to go down on the inside. Nordstrom's going to pull out. Marquez having enough speed to overtake just before. We'll actually go deep into the corner. Nordstrom coming back on the outside here. Marquez has to give the space. Nordstrom has the better run off the line. Marquez trying to hold the outside, just trying to hang on to the speed. Side by side, they go around the corner. Nordstrom looks to have this position, but Marquez doesn't look to be giving up on it. Might be going side by side here down to the chicane. Marquez looking up on the inside. Still side by side we go. Who's later on the brakes? Nordstrom later on the brakes is going to be able to sweep in. Can he make the second corner? Just barely. Switchback for Marquez. Will give him the position for the time being, but he has to defend all for the next two corners. And they collide a little bit. Nordstrom's now off into the gravel.
Oh no, I was about to say what a beautiful battle between those two, but Nordstrom just getting a little bit out of shape there.
We'll at least be able to return safely.
Yeah.
Not like his car is completely out, but
Very good work from the both of them, leaving each other room in that chicane, trying to make sure they didn't cause any issues they didn't need to. But that first Lesmo, if you don't have all the grip at turn in, it loves to make your car drift.
it really does. I mean, it just happens, but that is some outstanding side-by-side racing.
Because we have already lost 3 drivers tonight. Down to 29 competitors.
Well, it's honestly, it's more than I thought we'd have, I'll be honest. But
It's a shame that everybody kind of coordinated their drop races. But, you know, when you don't like a track and you get the option to completely wipe one off your scoring sheet for the season, I would not race that track.
Now, the drop race doesn't count for the team standings, at least from what I'm told.
It does not. It
So,
does not.
You're playing team-wise.
Kostovich comes up the inside at turn 1. Well done not to blow through the corner. Tightly kept at the apex, and that'll be a solid overtake for 14th position on Dan Cran.
Good job. We are seeing a mix of cars in the top 5 right now. McLaren, Lambo, Ferrari, Aston, McLaren again.
Yeah, Neville, after being the first driver from the top 5 to pit, came out down in 22nd, I believe it was at the time. He's currently 45 seconds back from the leader. And just checking on our data side of things, flag to flag time is 38 seconds.
He has some time.
So
to-
that
he
will
took
be our
damage.
number to watch as we... No, sorry. 38 seconds is pit entry line to pit exit line. 5 seconds stopped.
Oh.
So maybe a slight bit of damage, maybe just a little bit of missing the pit box. But even a 4-second stop is 37. This picture-in-picture looks like somebody went a little bit deep in a scurry there. Seems to be Patrick Rust. He's now going to be coming under fire from Kelvin Lau.
He is. Lau's going to try to hold the outside at Parabolica. Rust's going to hold that inside very well. Lau might actually try for switchback here. Is funneling in line. Does look to have enough speed to overtake Rust. Not able to get out fast enough. Spangler looking to catch any kind of scraps here. Lau in the slipstream of Rust coming down the straight. That Audi engine does have the power to outpower pretty much any car in the game right now. Lau's going to poke his nose out down into turn 1. We'll go side by side. Who is later on the brakes, Rust or Lau? It does look like Rust will have the advantage here, but Lau is still there on the inside. Rust's not going to be able to make a very clean corner, and there is contact. Lau's going to hit the corner panel of Rust. Rust spins around. Lau will go. Spangler will take up both of those positions and drive off into the sunset.
Yeah, it looked like Lau tried to opt for the switcheroo there as he came through the corner, and Patrick Rust just didn't accelerate as much as he thought he would, leading to that bit of contact.
That's what we call in the conductor industry, parking it on the apex.
Choo-choo.
It's Mercer's now looking for a way at Wilson.
And his teammate is also looking for a way on Neville down in 21st.
Someone who has not had a lot of talking tonight. Paulie, what are you seeing that we have not been picking up?
I've just been kind of darting around looking for some people in the back line here that are having some interesting racing. Taking a look at Mr. Sir, out of position to where he wants to normally be, sitting in 25th right now. I believe he had a bit of a hard lick at the beginning, but in a decent little battle with Diego here in front. And also Neville and O'Brien. I've been watching these guys go back and forth as O'Brien takes a position from Neville.
Swift overtake there in the Lesmos.
Plaza might look for something here on Dan Cran. Not going to try it on the backstretch here.
Jeremy Mercer is into the pits.
He is. He was in a battle, so he's going to get out of that battle. See if it pays off for him in the end. Plaza charging their way behind Dan Cran, catching that slipstream. Is it enough to power towards the end of the straight? It does look like he has the speed for it. Going under the braking, he sticks his nose out. Will stick right back in line.
Yeah, Plaza, should note, is also our driver that started from the pit lane. So very great start to the race from him.
P14, yet to pit yet, but that means he's still jumped 4 people already.
Exactly, and he's not exactly out of reach of the drivers ahead. Not too many close battles, but it's only a couple seconds between drivers. If you've got some pace, you can make up the place.
Absolutely, and it looks like Plaza has the pace on Dan Cran. He just now needs to figure out the way to get past. Neville making his comeback drive, 0.4 seconds away from O'Brien. These people have both pitted. Mercer is our Mercer is not our pit leader. O'Brien is our leader from the pits. So Neville, this is pretty much a battle for position on who leads the pitted drivers. Now Spangler into the pits.
Fastest driver on track right now currently is Matt Lehman, but Stallworth and Menning not too far off in terms of pace.
Now there's definitely can be a switch here flipped from Menning and Stallworth side. If they flip it and get fast enough, Lehman's gonna be caught, but currently throwing down some pretty fast times. His last lap was like 47.6, and that is the best lap of the entire race. As now Plaza is going to close up on the back of Dan Cran real fast. This time poking his nose out into turn 1, under braking. Who's later on the brakes? Dan Cran is there. Plaza going to pull out of that move as Dan Cran didn't look to leave too much room for Plaza. Plaza going to have to tuck right back in, try again later.
Yeah, this the way the leaders are stacked up right now kind of gives me Spa vibes. The way they just kind of sat 1 to 2 seconds away from each other for the whole race, waiting for one driver to slip in terms of pace. And I think it's going to be who can hold it together the longest in Ascari as the tires start to weigh down.
Mm-hmm. I feel like here at Monza, though, you want to be within that draft of someone just to have them pull you along, really. Even if you can't really make it up in the corners, but have someone there to give you that draft and pull you along the straights. As Plaza going to go a little wide there, but no hurt, no harm, no foul.
The one thing we haven't talked about tonight, and I don't think we've talked about too much this season, is the track limit monster. It's very easy to trip it. That line Neville just took there in the picture-in-picture is very close to track limits.
I've been having some qualms with track limits specifically on this track. I'm starting to think it's not just the curb at this point, and it's more of don't put your entire car in the grass. But even then, you're gonna lose some time. I've been seeing drivers kind of go past that curb in the Lesmos, and it keeps them valid.
So what you're saying is you have a severe skill issue?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
This is why I'm D3.
All right. Just making sure.
This is why I'm stuck in the commentator's booth in D1 and not driving in it.
Is Neville now starting to fall backwards a little bit through the drivers who have pit? He's 1.6 seconds back from O'Brien, falling towards Mercer. So the Aston Martin, I guess, not having the best race pace today. The Lamborghinis seem to be a little bit nicer on their tires, maybe, or a little bit more compliant through these tight chicanes.
I would call this Lamborghini's home track, if you would. So their car would probably be built more custom to Monza as preferred to most other tracks. So I feel like paired up against an Aston Martin, it might have the upper hand here as Mercer is trying to find the upper hand to pass Neville. This is currently pretty much our only battle on track at the moment.
The only other close drivers are Brooker Quigg and Kelvin Lau, who just came under a second from each other, so I'll throw that battle in the picture for now. But yeah, everyone just kind of spaced out, running their race.
Settling in for now.
Yeah, pace is around the 48.5 to 48.8 range, excluding the top two, who are in the 47s right now.
As Mercer's still trying to close that door to Neville. Looks to have the pace in the straights, but in the turns it's just not working. Might be some dirty air.
I'd have to say so. Turns like Parabolica here, it's all about how much speed you can roll through the corner and how early you can get back on the gas. And dirty air doesn't like to let you do either of those things.
Is fair enough. Coming down the pit straight, though, Mercer is closest he's ever been to Neville right now. 3/10. Currently closing the gap more and more as he catches that slipstream. Neville trying to find that slipstream from O'Brien. Mercer not going to be able to make the move done just yet. So we will hold on behind Neville for another lap at least. Unless he can find a way around within the lap.
Definitely a pair of smart drivers. Mercer knows that he does not need to force this overtake. He's got 45 minutes to battle this driver, and he can afford to do a little bit of what you mentioned earlier, just kind of sit in the slipstream, let him tow him along a little bit. His pace is not the worst, even though he is not matching the pace of the driver ahead.
He's a little bit faster, but just under a tenth it looks like.
Yeah, just about.
That's what you're gonna get when you slip in the, fit in the slipstream of another driver. Coming down to Ascari. Not gonna be able to do anything here, but you'd be pretty risky if you did. He just closes that gap to 2/10 and is just not able to hold it through the corners, which is an unfortunate series of events.
Nixon is just head into the pits.
Ooh.
Very interesting.
That's our P4 driver?
Yeah, there's a P4 or P5 going into pits, so that's our highest position pitter thus far. See where he winds out.
An uncontested position as well when he pit. Very curious on the strategy there. What I am curious on now is that Mercer is closing the gap to Neville even more. 1/10 back. He's practically in the bumper of Neville. Can Mercer try to get the slipstream, pokes his head to the outside for turn one? He is looking, not going to do it. We'll just sit in again. But I have a feeling that if he hits a few more of those, that he will not be sitting back anymore.
Nixon.
Yeah, comes out pretty much right ahead of O'Brien, just a second separating the two. And that was Nixon's pit stop. So O'Brien has been doing pretty well for himself.
Brian has to kind of hope that the cars behind him start the battle a little bit. As Quigg closing the gap ever more to Lau as well. Not able to get anything done.
A little fruit for conversation. A lot of people like to refer to this track as a very boring track, or a lack of skill track, like it doesn't take much skill to drive it. I personally, as looks like Kelvin Lau making a big tank slapper there in the last corner. He's going to give Brooker Quigg a look down the main straight. I find myself getting somewhat out of focus as I lap this track. Do you guys feel the same way? And if so, how do you keep yourself in touch and able
Well-
to stay full tilt the whole time?
You know, like I was saying before, it's like big straight and then super hard braking and then right left right and then big straight. So it's definitely hard to stay at your peak game, especially if you're going for an hour at this lap, at this track. You just gotta take it lap by lap and make sure you're staying engaged in the straightaways. But I don't think that this is necessarily a boring track or a track that is has a lack of skill involved in perfecting it. I think quite the opposite, really. Some of these corners, you got to get that right amount of tip in, and you got to get the right feel for the car. It's definitely very difficult to do over an hour.
I think it's a flip of a coin. Honestly, you could have a very active awake race like Mercer and Neville are having right now, where they're following each other. They got cars around them, or your three-way battle and your picture-in-picture right now. You could have that for all the race, and you'll be awake the entire time because you're constantly focused on it. Or you could have a race like Lehman's having right now, where there's no one really around them. You're just hot lapping at this point. And when I hot lap for an hour, I tend to get disassociated from the game, to be honest.
Well, it's interesting when you're driving next to someone because you're, clenching at every braking point that they're not going to ram into the back of you at top speed.
I think that's what keeps you awake, though. It's the adrenaline of having to know that.
Is it going to be this lap?
Maybe next.
Okay, maybe next.
Plaza will go into the pit. Mercer all over the back of Neville yet again down the main straight. Who's able to get on the power very much early? Mercer looks to be on the power earlier compared to Neville here. Coming down the main straight, Neville is forcing Mercer to go out along the outside right now. Mercer not going to have it. We'll just sit behind him for the time being. Has the open line to go inside right now. Not going to choose it. We'll just sit behind. Go around for another lap. Choosing not to fight the position and just kind of marinate right now. Which is not something you really see between two different teams. I think our chatters in Twitch chat have said it perfectly. It's a easy track to learn, hard track to master.
Yep.
But we'll give them that. But yes, I feel like it can get boring for an hour of hot lapping as Neville goes off into the grass for a bit. Mercer's taken to the inside here in the second Lesmo. We'll have that position. Gets a little wonky, but we'll keep it for the time being. Neville doesn't look like he'll take that position back for now. That is Mercer's position, so after about, 8 minutes of waiting, Neville makes a mistake. He gains the position, but now Neville's all over the back of Mercer again. Josh Damiani, and what has been going on in that three-way battle of yours in that picture-in-picture window?
Not too much, really. Just kind of keeping the helicam on it, trying to have all three cars in view because everybody is just not separating. They're staying right on top of each other, but also nobody's making a move. So, I don't know what to expect. Just kind of hang out and see what happens.
Very hard to commentate because normally when we see drivers get like 2/10 up to the back of a car, we think, oh, they're sticking their nose out right away. And this track has not been the case. There has been no nose sticking out when it's not needed.
Yeah, it's very much the track that you need to make calculated overtakes. As we've seen, there's even some clear-cut opportunities that some people have had, and it's resulted in very janky overtakes. It's awkward here.
It is, as Marquez is going to try to make it as least awkward as possible to get past Wilson here soon. He's been closing the gap for a good bit, and he's now within half a second of Wilson.
Half a tenth would be really close.
Yeah, that'd be pretty much pushing the car.
Oh, as Lau goes deep through the exit of Ascari, and that's going to give Kostovich the opportunity to make a move into Parabolica. It's down into the braking zone. They're side by side. Kostovich actually gets ahead in the braking zone. It's going to be done before they even get there.
Well, I might have given that one. Didn't want to fight it too hard. He did. He will go into the pits now.
That makes more sense.
Yep. Allow into the pits, and this has been a kind of different strategy than what we've seen all season so far. In terms of pitting, where people have just been pitting the pit for right now. Kind of taking...
As Diego looks to make a move up the inside of Stasov at Parabolica here. Trying to bring himself up towards the rest of the gold drivers. Cleanly files on through and up in front, but does Stasov have the pull to make a move down into turn 1? It looks like he's already got a better exit, doesn't even need the slipstream.
Was not a favored line that Stasov is on currently.
But
we'll just slot right back in line. Yeah, not a lot of overtaking in the turn 1 like we expected.
yeah, I wonder if everyone's taking an extra 5% of caution with it as well. Just, it's not worth it.
I will say it was a very long driver's briefing.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of talking about turn 1 specifically.
Bray's gonna on the outside of Riley in the turn 1. Cars collide, and maybe that's why we're not doing turn 1 overtakes. Bray spins out the car, trying his hardest to get back on track. We'll be able to do it. Maybe that's why everyone's being a bit cautious.
Just a bit, possibly.
As we're just over halfway into this race right now. Currently, more than half of our field has pit already. Something uncharacteristic from this season, as we see most people either pit right away or they pit at the very last second. This race we've seen people kind of pit in the middle. Is there any kind of like strategy advantage to that, or?
I mean, you're splitting the tire abuse in half, so maybe you're giving the tires a even amount of heat up, but I don't know. Could be a mental thing.
Or could it be a fuel thing where you only fuel for half the race, you go in and you fill up fuel again to get that straight line speed?
We can see if anyone's done that.
Based on the
data?
Based on the stop times, I don't really think so.
Yeah, there's only a couple people who had stop times longer than 5 seconds. And those people may have been repairing damage from earlier on in the race. So
I tried to get another strategy in there. It didn't work.
There have been some tracks this season where a half fuel versus full fuel scenario has been pretty decently different in pace. And it's come across my mind a couple times, but I don't think Monza's one of those tracks.
Fair enough. As our only really battle is on track right now. Battle for P5 between Wilson and Marquez, and battle for P8 between Quigg and Kostovich. Currently just 4/10 away. Very intrigued on some of the different lines that will be taken in the final corner. Marquez takes it very tight hugging. Wilson's taking it very wide. And they both kind of end up in the same position. Marquez will have the better time on the inside during the corner, but coming out of it, Wilson just gets so much speed onto the straight.
Kostovich looks like he wants to make a move up the inside of turn 1 on Brooker Quigg. He's going to get past him in the braking zone. Clean overtake there.
That's how you do it.
That's the way we like it.
Quigg come back with that Audi engine here into the chicane. Doesn't look like he has the space or speed for it just yet.
Yeah, I don't think he was able to get a good enough exit out of turn 2 with that Ferrari being parked right in front of him. So we'll see how these guys shake out coming into the next lap, but that's definitely Kostovich's position for now.
Good on him. Marquez still trying to close the gap to Wilson. 310's coming up to Ascari, but he tends to lose most of the time here. Does look up the inside for a brief second, but decides to pull right back in, do a little fakie. Try to give Wilson a little scare, but Marquez is right on the back of Wilson now, coming down the Parabolica. Will he be able to get the slipstream down? Try to make a move into the final corner. Doesn't look like he will be popping out, so we'll just follow through in the corner this time. Coming down on the main straight, who can get the better launch off the corner? We'll probably decide who will have the position by the end of the lap. Marquez trying to get that slipstream on Wilson, trying to close that gap. Lamborghini on Ferrari action right now down the main stretch. Marquez closing that gap very, very fast. Marquez down to the inside here, poking their nose out. Late on the brake is Marquez, able to hold it together in for turn 1. Wilson will just file right back in line, and that's Marquez's position all day.
Very clean overtaking to turn 1. Looked like a carbon copy of the overtake we saw a couple moments ago. But they're gonna look the same there. There's only really one way to make it work. We saw Max Verstappen try and do around the outside instead of around the inside, and that we all know how that ended.
Car on car.
Although I would be really intrigued to see that happen in ACC.
Well, I mean, we can't really do that. Do that with non-open wheel cars. But it would be very intriguing to see.
I invite you to go back and watch my qualifying session from Imola last week. My car took a full jump. So these GT cars will hop pretty high.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. I'll give you that. So we are halfway through the race. Pit window still has 27 minutes left in our top 12. Has yet to pit. Everyone kind of spread out right now. No battles are really intensifying.
Yeah, I think our only battles are going to happen as 2 through 7 come in for pits, and as the race goes on for our leaders.
Lehman is about to hit a pack of blue flags, so if you are him, do you start thinking about pitting, or since Monza is such a big, long, straight track, you just kind of go about it, trust that the blue flags will get out of the way on those big, long straights?
I think you trust the back markers. Like, it is, you're in a crowd of very intelligent drivers as well, like strictly analyzing D1 here. So I think he can rely on people getting out of his way, but 3 seconds is the delta back to P2. So I think if he starts to encounter any troublesome cars, he'll be thinking about that pit stop.
There's 4 cars to go through. We'll see what happens right now on your main screen. Stasov and Lau are currently your closest cars together, with only a gap of 0.5 right now coming down the main straight. Lau does have the slipstream here, but it does look a little too far back to try anything. Downshifts on these cars just sounding very pristine.
Very wonderful.
As I say, our only battle on track, or another battle, is sprawled from Bray and Riley. Yeah, again, down in P25 right now. Bray has a very, very fast line on Riley here, coming down into turn 1. Bray looked to the inside for a little bit, sign against it. We'll just slot right back in line, try again later. Picture window has Calvin Lau and Stasov in it. Keep up with that battle. Matt Lehman has made it past. No blue flags yet. Bray actually looking to the outside, down to the inside. Very clean switchback. Riley still able to hold that line there. Bray's going to try to hold his line. Does get it done. Does have a better launch than Riley coming into the Lesmos. We'll just file right in. Riley going to take a defensive line, cover off Bray. Bray sticking behind for the time being.
Yeah, it looks like Riley's playing the old drive in the middle of the road tactic there. as Bray was looking for every opportunity to try and find a clean spot past him.
This is the first.
But great job from Bray to check up there in turn 4 as Riley turned in. I thought that was for sure going to be contact.
Very close. Who can have it better? Bray obviously seems that I think he has the pace over Riley. It's just can he get the move done? Coming down the Parabolica, will he try something? Riley holding the very right side of the track right now, trying to cover off any kind of move to the inside. Bray still holding there. Both cars dive to the outside. Now it's about who can get a better launch out of Parabolica. Both cars do a very good job of getting the power down, but it looks like Bray has a much faster line currently, and he will have the slipstream down the front stretch on Riley. Riley all the way to the right of the track trying to hold off the inside. Bray's going to have to make a move on the outside if he wants anything done. Bray to the outside. Riley's on the inside here. Bray has so much more speed than Riley right now, and they're going side by side through turn 1. Bray will take that position as Riley backs out, but he actually goes deep, and Riley's going to try to switch back here. Won't get a better enough exit. There's collision in the picture.
Yeah, we had Lau and Staziv have a little contact with each other in Parabolica.
Fun stuff as
Or, sorry, the Lesmos.
as Bray's going to have
And,
to now do a defensive
Go
line.
back far enough. Yeah, I tried to go back and give us a replay there. I was too engulfed watching this battle here on the main screen that I didn't see the picture-in-picture contact.
Yeah, but Lau has lost a position over the matter. Now Mr. Sir is sitting between him and Staziv.
And Mr. Sir's going to look to the outside for Parabolica here, as
Right,
Diego
looking to the
drives
inside.
straight through the last corner into the wall. I wonder if his steering wheel just disconnected.
Riley also with a yellow flag off the track after the second Lesmo.
That looks like a disconnected steering wheel.
That does.
Oh, man. No,
Yeah.
Diego.
No movement on the screen
Yeah.
there.
He is
I
parked.
need to check something.
Well, hold up,
In
Mr.
mid.
Sir. Oh, look at this three-way. Hold up. Lau, Mr. Sir, and Staziv all going through the first the first chicane side by side there. Mr. Sir only a tenth behind Staziv.
He's going to try to make a move here onto the chicane. Holding up the inside right now. Who's going to break later? It does look like Staziv is able to hold that line, so we'll be able to flow right through. Mr. Sir will have to slot right back in line. But he gets a better run into the Lesmos, but has to back out. Very close battles, as now there's battles heating up in the front of the pack. Marquez, Nate Speck, and Wilson now all coming close together. The battles are starting to heat up. Nate Speck going to hold off this lap, doing any funny business in the turn 1. Your picture-in-picture window, everyone just funneling through. Coming up to Scary. And we'll think about anything there.
Oh, it took me a moment to find the data that I was looking for, but I was able to confirm the horrible thought that I had. Today's unfortunately Diego's birthday as well.
Oh, that's not a good birthday present.
Happy birthday, buddy, but I'm sorry the Rays lucked out like that as Mr. Sir looks up the inside on Staziv. Still going to have the inside line. Staziv fishing for any bit of grip out there on the outside as he gets out onto that green AstroTurf. He's going to lose the position to Mr. Sir, and he's going to invite Mr. Lau right into this fight.
That's off tracks, too. Outside of track limits.
Very adventurous maneuvers here. Stasov's now going to go back up the inside of Mr. Sir at turn 1. Some contact. Kelvin's now going to have the opportunity to drive on past. And Plaza's now going to get introduced to the mix.
A four-way battle now.
We went from nothing going on to everything going on. Welcome to the
Plaza
picture-in-picture.
Is basically rubbing his rear bumper. Going back and forth. Wow.
Yeah.
Very tight.
It looked like he's trying to hacksaw it off the car. Left, right, left, right. But well done from these drivers to avoid contact. Clearly there's a pace difference here between those two cars.
Would ask if we can pull that battle on the big screen. If we can.
Go, of course.
Don't want to steal your thunder, don't worry.
buddy. Put the big battle on the big screen so people can see it.
Absolutely not. Everyone must squint their eyes to the picture-in-picture window, as everyone's going to squint their eyes coming into SRA. Not going to make any move. Looks like Diego came in chat, decided to say game died on him. Now wheel disconnect.
Ugh. Brutal.
Plaza's now very close to Stasiv coming in the Parabolica. Now we're going to make a move here. Lau is decent ways away from Mr. Sir, but should still have the slipstream if he can get a good enough run off of this last turn. He should be able to have some kind of move down to turn 1. Plaza's going to try to have a move on Stasiv here, closing up to the back from 2/10 behind. He gets a good run on him. Stasiv not going to be able to have that slipstream from Lau here, so Plaza's going to have some free pickings right now all the way on the back of Stasiv. Plaza sticks out down on the inside turn 1. Plaza's very late on the brake. Stasiv, side by side we go. There's practically touching to the corner. Plaza should have a good enough run, but Stasiv's actually going to end up forcing him into the gravel there. So Stasiv has a better run over Plaza. Plaza's forced to stick right back in line.
Some very aggressive defensive maneuvers there. I will not be surprised if Plaza makes a maneuver here at this corner, as he's got the run. He's already alongside Stasiv. Stasiv's going to hold the inside, but Plaza's definitely going to make sure he's on the inside for the second corner. Get shown the track limits. And there's the impact.
Nordstrom.
Through goes Nordstrom. That's not the first time we've had that happen tonight. Battle ahead and an opportunistic driver behind gets to take 2 positions instead of 1. As Nate Specht comes into the pits.
Wow. Really not expecting these people to pit like this.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue.
Nate was he was teetering on 1 second of the car in front of him, and I believe it was Gomer Wilson behind was starting to close up, so I wonder if he wanted to just avoid having to abuse the tires at this point. Just go in, get the pit stop over with, and reshuffle afterwards.
Fair enough, as Lau is 0.3 seconds away from Mr. Sir right now. We can get a better
Nate's
run.
actually going to come out pretty close to Neville here at turn 1. He's going to come out behind Neville. So that leaves him pretty far down in terms of
Position.
pitted cars. Oh, no.
It should be like
Wait.
2.
Your leaderboard with the green versus orange pit
Yeah,
markers.
it's not right.
Yeah. Race control, please. Can you put that in your software?
That would be very lovely. Wow, not able to find the speed to catch up to Mr. Sir on the straight.
Battle that's shaping up here is Sparks and Bray, or rather, no, this is
Sparks and Snell Train.
Snell
Yeah.
Train, yes.
I'll hop on that in the picture-in-picture here. Sparks, sneaky clean livery there.
Clean.
Hey, don't make fun of my words, bud.
Hey, bud.
Hey, bud, don't make fun of my words.
Lau getting all out of sorts in the first Lesmo is going to lose him a ton of time to Mr. Sir. Actually going to throw him back out of the draft. So now what you want if you are Lau, you have to try to close that gap a little bit more. Dan Cran's actually going to start catching Brooker Quigg there in the top 10 here very shortly. Currently 9/10 away, so we'll keep an eye if that battle gets any closer. Right now, Calvin Lau still on the hunt for Mr. Sir. Just under 20 minutes to go in the race. If you want to start looking for moves, now's the time to do so.
That's right. Not too much time left to do so.
Wow, trying to find the slipstream. He does get back in it, but it doesn't look like he's going to have enough to get to the end of the straight and overtake Mr. Sir. We'll just have to slot right back in line. I'm very curious on where, after all these pit stops kind of shake out, very curious on how everyone ends up here. Because we all thought Nate Specht was going to have a pretty good showing here, but he actually falls behind Neville. Neville is about 3 places back from the leading pitter. If I'm using that correctly.
Sparks falling off the back, a little bit of Snell train, then catching right back up. Now 3/10 going into Lesmos here. Separating out to 4/10.
As most battles have started calming down again. Except for the 2, as Lau and Mr. Sir is actually going to hype up a little bit. Lau all over the back of Mr. Sir coming down into the Parabolica. Will Lau pick out? He will not. He's actually take a precautionary break there to go in. Trying to get a better exit here. Down on the gas faster is Lau. Mr. Sir is going to be holding that inside very tightly. Trying to break the draft right now. Lau has a better run than Mr. Sir, but he has to get back in that draft very quick. Try to get down to the main stretch into turn 1. Can he get side by side by the end of it? 0.2, 0.1 now. Not going to be able to do it. Lau's actually still peeking out. Not going to be laying off on the brakes, so we'll just slot right back in. Go around again. So, Damiani, who you have in your picture-in-picture there?
This is the Snell Train and Sparks battle. Just keeping an eye on it. I was on it, and then I moved back to Brooker and Dan Cran, and then this battle jumped down to 3/10. I came over to it, now went back up to 6/10. So,
The sarcastic curse.
yeah, I guess so.
Nothing really happening in the top 10. Dan Cran will actually take his pit stop now. 14 minutes to go in the race.
Prematurely end that battle for now. What's so funny, bro?
Yeah, it's fine. It'll come back. Calvin Lau still falling very close to Mr. Sir. Actually, very close in terms of where he was last time during Parabolica. Can he get a better run than Mr. Sir right now? He's currently 2/10 away. Can he get a better draft coming down to the front stretch? Trying to close that gap, trying to get the huge suck through the slipstream right now. Mr. Sir's engine just seems to have a little bit more power over Lau's, and Lau gonna have to back out of the move again. Now Nixon looking to get a little mixed up here with Rust. Both of them taking to the grass, that's fine. We're going to turn ACC into a rally car league now.
Someone must have told them to touch grass in the driver's briefing.
That is true. Yep. And they did just that. So now
Marquez closing up on Stallworth a little bit. As both of those drivers invalidate their laps.
Nixon has now caught up to the point of drivers who have not pitted at all. Is about 48 seconds back from Lehman. I forget what we said was the time for pit flag to flag.
38.
38 seconds. So be a little bit little hard to find 10 seconds on Lehman right now if he wants to go for a win, but currently he'll see himself P3, it looks like.
Well, again, that's flag to flag, so that doesn't also account for the braking down to the line and then the time it takes for you to accelerate back up to full speed. So realistically, it's probably closer to about 45 seconds loss.
What you're telling me is we could have a Nixon-Lehman battle by the end of this.
Maybe not a battle, but I would say 1 to 2 seconds apart.
I like
because
his
just looking at things like Nixon's doing 48.3s, 1.7 was his last lap. Lehman's was a 48.147. So they're not. They're literally 2/10 apart, on the nose apart. Like, in terms of lap times. So if they
Nix-
can stay similar for the rest of this race, we might see something.
Nixon will look to be slowed down here by Patrick Rust through about half this track. Nixon needs to find a way past him. Doesn't look like that is happening anytime soon. Marquez and Stallworth are actually closing the gap to each other now as well. Coming down in the Parabolica, coming out, and we get a better launch. Doesn't look like Marquez looks to be too far back. Try anything. Nixon right up on the back of Rust through Ascari. Have we found the maximum Audi engine capacity here? Nixon's going to poke his nose out down in the Parabolica. Russ sees him. Will allow the space on the inside. Nixon still holding it close together there. We'll be able to take that position for the time being. Russ is going to have a very good jump, though. We'll just slot right into the slipstream of Nixon, see if he can come back on him, closing the gap 1/10 right now. Russ seems to be falling off a little bit, but he's coming right back at him. But we'll just decide to slot right back in line for the time being.
Allowing Mr. Sir heating back up here. Now 2/10 apart from each other, going through Parabolica as well. Lau hitting that slipstream. See if they can make anything happen here at the end of the straight. Now closing the gap to 1/10.
Practically pushing him now. Gonna side stick his nose out and go right back in.
Get a little bit of vision on the corner and tuck back in line. Would be a smart thing to do.
I feel like he could have had that move if he was late enough on the brakes, but I'm just a poor old D3 driver.
Better safe than sorry sometimes, and these, especially that T1. 10 minutes left of the race. There's still plenty of opportunity for some moves to be made.
It's true, that is true. We still have a ton of people that need to pit. Speaking of pits, Menning will be our first top 3 person into the pits now. We'll see where he comes out in comparison to Neville and Speck and Nixon. Kez closely following behind Stallsworth, not able to gain a lot of time though. It was just holding on for the time being. Menning will come out just in front of Nixon, it seems, in P8. So Menning will be our new leader of the pitted. Having Lau went really deep at Parabolica there on the back of Mr. Sir. Won't help his chances at overtaking.
Nope.
Switch to that real quick. Marquez and Stallsworth are now very close together.
We had the same idea at the same time. That was funny.
We're going to say great minds think alike. These drivers are going to have to pit here within the next 5 minutes, so it's kind of down to the wire. Start thinking who can pit where and when was the best option for me, but there's not a lot of free real estate on track right now. Battle between Lau and Sir is now starting to introduce Nordstrom into the battle. Think we see another Nordstrom 2-for-1 deal?
Maybe. 2-for-1 special. Scomer Wilson's in the pits.
He is. I just got confirmation. Is that Diego? Who's game
It's
crash?
language 10. Yes.
Language 10. Yep. He's eating cheesecake for his birthday in order to deal with his disappointment.
A little bit of birthday cheesecake definitely can't help the hopes here.
Wasn't your fault,
Can't
mate.
hurt. Yeah. Hey, it happens.
Come back next week.
Just like in real life, where they have mechanical faults. Sometimes in sim racing, we have the same kind of faults. Definitely gutting, but it happens to everyone at least once or twice.
It is what it is. Love it. Marquez is going to have a very good run on Stallsworth here. Stallsworth had to take to the gravel a little bit, so Marquez is going to start closing this gap here down the Parabolica. I do believe these two are teammates, though, or at least in the same conglomerate. I don't think we'll see it too much of a battle, but Marquez closing that gap slowly, ever so slightly. One of them up for the pits here. Doesn't look like it, but we'll go around another time. They probably will pin this lap right now, as most people should be pitting either this lap or next lap, or else you're going to get smacked with a 130-second time penalty. You don't want that. Marquez will just stick in line for the time being. Kostovich is off into the pits.
Well, Coach Jeffrey says justice for Diego. We may have a movement springing up here in SRA. Everyone, next race, D1 all on strike against real-life hardware failures. So hopefully we can all get SRA given direct drives.
I think I think as a community we need to get Selena a wheel first before.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
I mean, she is pretty talented with that controller. Does she even want to switch?
I mean, look, if you, in my eyes, if you're that talented with a controller and you switch to the wheel, you're bound to have D1 pace already.
Yeah, it's still a massive learning curve.
Of course, but I remember switching from controller to wheel. It was very rough for the first 2 weeks, and then you kind of get the grips of things, and you start improving. And you're like, oh, this is better. It feels better.
All right, maybe we can get in between here, right?
Okay.
You know the switch where you get the tiny wheel and you put your Joy-Con in it?
Yeah.
Like from Mario Kart?
Yep.
We can get her one of those.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a nice happy medium.
Okay.
As Lehman, Stallworth, and Marquez are all in the pits.
Yep.
So is Poramba.
And Paremba. Is Quig going to make it a 5-some?
Yeah, he should. If not, he's going to get smacked with a 130-second time penalty.
Snell Train and Sparks are now side by side coming into the first Lesmo. Not going to make it work. Sparks still forced to stay behind here. Wonder how much longer he's going to make that a trend.
Demon gets out and clear. Menin will jump Nixon, Marquez, or will jump Marquez and Stallworth and Paremba in the pits. Nixon will jump all those people as well, and so will O'Brien. So Nixon, who has been chilling in the back of the race, is now all of a sudden in a podium position right now.
Snell Train and Sparks again going wheel to wheel into Ascari that time.
Oh, I'm sorry, I stole your thunder.
Nah.
Someone's sticking to the escape route.
Spangler throws a yellow flag for a split second there.
If you went to the escape route, Calvin Lau down on Mr. Sir is going to try to be overtaken by Quig here out of the pits. Quig will have that position over Lau. So now it's Mr. Sir, Lau. Mr. Sir, Quig, Lau, and then Nordstrom behind. This battle could spice up with just over 2 minutes left. Wilson is about a second back from Marquez. Picture-in-picture window, you have two cars almost going side by side down in turn one. Not going to do anything of it. Nate Speck is under half a second behind Neville right now. Can he catch up in that brand new shiny McLaren?
Yep. Pit window ends and all the battles start coming together here.
How we do at SRA?
A minute and 48 seconds left to go this race. This four-way train is crazy. Nate Speck now 3/10 off of the back of Neville.
All coming through as you heard in your ears. Lehman has started the final lap here. So if there's any overtaking maneuvers you want to get done, now's the time to do them. Nate Speck out of Parabolica. Following very closely Neville here, probably as close as he's ever been so far. Going in that draft, trying to get that little bit of extra speed. Neville trying to go to the other side of track to break the
Lau
draft.
side by side with Quig into the last corner. Quig's gonna use every bit of racetrack he can to try and keep the car straight there. He's got to be careful. That sausage curb has made some very meme-friendly videos of an F3 car. I wonder what it would do to a GT3 car.
Fortunately, won't keep the position using all of the track and then some, like you said.
No, I mean, doing something like that and keeping the position, you should be giving it back anyways.
Just out of pure talent, you know.
Out of respect, yeah.
Dromo's going to try to come on the back of Wreck here. Powering down a straight line in the Porsche. Doesn't look to be getting any kind of space. Is finally getting some type of pull down in the turn 1. We'll poke their nose out, but we'll just head right back in line. All coming up. And a 6.5 second gap from this man right now. Matt Lehman leading the entire race the entire time will come across the line and take P1 here at Monza.
Dromo and Wreck almost trading paint. Dromo really close behind. As this battle for 25th shapes up in the last final moments here of the race.
There's people in the back. Nate Speck's going to try down on the inside here of Neville, trying to get a better run. Neville has a better fast run. It's going to be a drag race to the end. Who can put down the power more, Speck or Neville? Looks like Neville got it. Speck will stay P10 for the time being.
What is that, 9/100ths of a second?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Not even a tenth.
Dromo looks like he might have a run on Wreck down into Ascari, but there's not going to be any room to make that overtake. Try and foul back in and focus on the exit.
We have the
It's
side
a
by
bit of a
side.
better run.
Parabolica, Sparks, and Snell Train. Snell Train going to hold the inside. Sparks going to have so much more of a run. Snell Train got on the inside curb a little bit. Who can put on the power? Again, it's another drag race here for P22 right now. Sparks looks to have the power over Snell Train for the time being, but it's so close, and Sparks will come across the line and take that lead. Dromo in the background here will just slot into P26 and let Wreck have that. But your winner, Matt Lehman, will come home for it, and Stallworth is your silver winner.
Man, who would have thought all that racing would come together so quickly in those final moments? 2 side-by-side finishes over the line from 2 great battles that we had been watching. Just a fantastic race in the end there. You know, I don't care what they say about you, Monza. You're all right. You know. Let's try to find some folks to interview here. See if they want to hop in the chat. But while we're looking for that, I want to take the opportunity to read a little reel thanking some of the people that have helped us here in SRA. As soon as my computer figures out how to load things, I want to say a huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Sega, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. And enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. And Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And to go setups, premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Big thank you, guys, and a thank you to the folks who subscribed on Prime during the race. That was very cool,
cool.
and thank you to everyone that has watched here our stream tonight.
I believe we have lost Damiani for a second. I think he's trying to round up our our interviews right now.
That's what it looks like.
But what a race, honestly. It was kind of a little wavy. We had a big spike at the beginning, a little downtime in the middle, and then a huge spike at the end. Loved it. Can't wait to talk to some of these drivers. Speaking of Damiani, welcome back.
I went and collected us a few amigos. I have our full podium here for interviews tonight.
Very cool.
Bring Matt Lehman up for the second week in a row. Matt Lehman.
Ooh, another fantastic drive from you. You had the fastest times in practice. You had a bit of a rocky start to your qualifying, not really being able to set your time until the last 2 laps, but set it right on pole for your first valid lap and improved on your second valid lap. So very impressive. And then you just kept it cool, calm, and collected there at the top for the entire race after a little skirmish there at the beginning and took it home. Not much more to say. I mean, you had a fantastic race. How are you feeling out there?
Yeah, I think you basically summed it up. Qualifying was less than ideal at the beginning. I had that little spin, touched the wall, had to reset, so was panicking a little bit, but thankfully, was able to get down to it, put down 2 really solid laps. Last one I was pretty happy with. And then yeah, in the race, slight contact on turn 1 with I don't know who it was now, but I'll have to watch the replay for that. But yeah, first half of the race, Michael Manning kept me honest. He was keeping it, within 2 seconds or so. And then slowly but surely, I just kept putting in, consistent laps, made sure to hit my marks. And then that gap just slowly grew. So yeah, was able to run a pretty clean race and bring it home.
So a lot of talk about the new McLaren. How are you enjoying it so far?
I mean, it's fast. I'm certainly doing pretty well with it. I've always been a McLaren main. And yeah, there's no question this Evo has a really good BOP right now. So it's really important that, over the next few races that I try and place as best as I can, take advantage of the car advantage while I still can before Kunos does another BOP update. Because who knows when that's going to be. Could be,
Very-
tomorrow, next week, or whatever. So
Very wise. And Nate Specht, your teammate, having a good performance tonight as well. Was there any excitement in the chat there?
yeah, I mean, he had a great run, especially because he literally just came back from a trip, went in cold, 0 practice at all. And to finish top 10, ice cold, honestly, props to him. And yeah, just like the week leading up to it, time and time again, he comes through with just great setups, and yeah, it's just pop it in, go, and it just goes fast.
Well, there you go. Thank you for joining us up here in the booth, and congratulations again on your win. Do you have any final words for us?
I don't know. I guess to the guys tomorrow, keep it clean in turn 1. Don't do any big damage.
Very wise. Thank you, Matt, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Good guy.
We have Michael Manning. Welcome up to the booth. And how are you feeling out there?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think that was pretty solid. Definitely happy with how that turned out. Just real struggle all through that race. I mean, I was just kind of lapping by myself. Tires fell off quicker than I had hoped, and just understeered a lot. I had a lot of offs in the Lesmos, but we held on. Just tried to manage the gap. I knew the race with Lehman was pretty much over as soon as I lost the draft, but just trying to manage the gap behind. So definitely happy with it though. Definitely solid.
Well, you did a good job. You stayed out in clean air for most of the time. Was blue flags ever an issue for you?
No. I only caught up to one, and I forget who. I think it was Riley. It was a Ferrari. They let me by really quickly, and that was right when my pace was really starting to fall off. I was making a lot of mistakes, and I was like, man, I feel really bad for this guy. But no, We were chilling. We didn't catch too many people up front, so it was all right.
I love it when you pass a blue marker, but you're actually your pace is dropping off real bad, and you just look like a fool in front of the back marker. So that's
Yeah.
my favorite feeling in the world. But yeah, still a P2. That's really good. Matt was talking in here earlier about how you were keeping him honest during the race. So something to be said about keeping it out front and keeping it clean and coming home with a P2. Can't be mad at that at all.
Yeah, definitely happy. I couldn't have asked for much more with Matt and a McLaren on this grid, so I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Well, thank you for joining us up here, and we hope to see you again next week. But yeah, congratulations.
Absolutely, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
And Mr. Nixon, welcome to the booth.
Hello.
P3, and you're driving the Aston Martin, someone I've wanted to talk to this season. How are you feeling out there, and how's the car feeling?
It's been pretty good. Aston is pretty easy to drive. I've been an AMG main for a long time, so AMR has always been a little tricky just because it doesn't usually like to turn in as well. But my teammate wanted to run it, and it's been great. It's a great car. It's got good BOP right now, so it's been a lot of fun. And it brought me to the podium in SRA, and I've never been here before. So
You're getting a lot of hype in the chat from a Jordan M0890. Big fan of you.
it must be the name.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, I am completely how can I all right, that's I made a big fool of myself there. Thank you for the golf claps. Thank you. Much needed. Okay. Well, yeah, we were watching some of the battles that you were in through the race, and you had pit kind of early. What was the play on that?
Well, I started making up time on, I believe it was Stallworth, and it just came to the point where, I was within a second of him, and I wasn't sure how easy it would be to pass. The AMR kind of, whether you're in the draft or not, your top speed really doesn't change. You kind of peak on the boost, and you just quit pulling. So I decided to risk it, and a couple of my teammates, we were all in chat together. They had already pit, so I kind of had an idea of where I might fall out. So I decided to risk it, pit a little early, and it paid off. Usually I like to run late, but I changed up strategy, and it worked out in my favor this time, luckily.
Yeah, we were a bit surprised to see. I mean, I think you were in 5th place or 4th place when you pit, but definitely seemed to work. A lot of the people that we saw pit early did gain positions here. Came out very favorably at the very least. So it was an interesting play to watch from the booth, but yeah, it definitely worked out very well for you.
Yeah, it's always a gamble pitting early, because you might run into people who are, technically on the same lap but haven't pit yet. So that came up once, I think. So I got really lucky. Didn't even run into that. So honestly, everything just fell into place. My pace was really consistent. I got really lucky, having to pass people who hadn't pit. Just I guess practice paid off. So feels good.
Well, congratulations on the P3. Do you have any final words for our drivers tomorrow or any thank yous that you'd like to say?
I would like to say thank you to Mom. That's a joke. That's our team leader, I guess, Javier Marquez. Love you, Mom.
Well, yeah.
Sure, Mom's very
Not
proud
much to
of
say
you.
after that.
Well, thank you for joining us up here, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Hope to be back.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right.
What a race.
What a race.
Well, the action's not over yet for this week, as tomorrow, stick in tomorrow here at Twitch for the D2, Division 2 here at Monza. On YouTube, we will have, I believe, D3 and D6 happening as well if you head over to YouTube and search for Sim Racing Alliance. We'll have 2 streams there tomorrow. Same time, 9 o'clock. And of course, thank you to everyone. And if you want to get in on the action and want to participate, possibly next season, get your feet warm, come in, do some casual races with us, go to simracingalliance.com and come join the Discord. Fun bunch of loving group of people to talk to. Talk about setups and stuff, just talk about random stuff. We do a lot of fun activities. Some stuff not even intended for racing. So it's a very wholesome night. Any last set of words, Damiani?
Not really. I mean, honestly, this race was really exciting, even though it was kind of boring for the middle of it. The battles were super engaging, and I think I'm gonna go check out the other division that was broadcast tonight. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna head over to the YouTube and watch theirs because I'm hungry for some more and some inspiration for tomorrow.
Of course. Paule, any last words?
Monza.
Well,
Yeah, that's about it.
Signing off for me, Taylor Marino, Paule Hartman, Josh Damiani. I'm going to get some Monza practice after watching that. Good night, everyone.
Yeah. Adios, folks.